momento.
Uno momento. I think, have we started? Oh, no. Here we are. Yes. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to HoGaLe's Global Astrology. Know your planets, know yourself, or know your nation, know yourself. The two are interchangeable. And you can see, folks, tonight is a very special show because, as you can see, normally we're 3, but today we are 4.
Full house. Full house.
Full house today. And of course, as Lena was just saying backstage, we have not done this for a long time, isn't it? It's been a long time since the 4 of us have been together, all in the same show. So I really look forward to that. Lady G, you were just showing us your would you mind showing us your hat backstage? And as we also as well welcome Sheila from Celtic Tarot. So nice to have you back. Of course, Lena down under. Lady G, would you mind giving us a little look, give the audience a little look?
Oh, no, I was having a hat made, a red, but they didn't listen. They didn't follow what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 4-inch crown. They gave me a 5-inch crown. I look like I got a freaking chimney on my head.
Oh, darling, and you don't want to look like a pimp hat. You look so gorgeous in hats.
You just gotta bejazzle it. Just bejazzle it. It looks like then you have a decorated gumdrop.
Yeah,
You could sell it. You could sell it and get one that's perfect for you because you're the hat queen.
This is $800 hat.
No.
What?
Yeah. These are not cheap to have made. They are not cheap. No.
Oh.
Wow. Who knew? Well, I think the color is gorgeous. I think you're right. It is a little bit too tall, but it is very fetching.
Yeah. I love the color, and I got the band for it. I'm putting a black, beautiful lace band on it with coins. It's going to be a gypsy hat, but the balance is off.
Yeah. How frustrating.
We'll have to see, won't we? We'll have to see. We look forward to the developments on that. And I just want you guys to know it is snowing here in London. I don't know if you can see. Let me just see. I don't think you can see. Can you see?
Snow.
It sure is.
It's snowing. I've not seen snow in years. It has been a long time. It doesn't very often snow.
And it doesn't snow often in London because it's such a big city. It generates so much heat that the snow can't quite get it happening.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. So, guys, we have a very special show for you now. Of course, we'll be going at pace as we normally do. Sheila, there's a question you want to ask. Can you just remind us again so we don't forget in the pace of the show? You wanted to ask?
Sure. Well, our orange turd who is about to be inaugurated, he has called for a party. I don't know what he's calling it, but he has called all of his little MAGA friends in for the 19th to meet and to have like a rally or something along that lines before his inauguration. Right. We're all just swirling around like, what are you gonna do? Why are you having that? And I thought maybe we could read on that as the reason why he is calling people in, just like he did for J6.
Right.
Okay, definitely well worth an ask. Okay, so we've got lots of people here with us already. Shall we dive into the show without further ado, ladies? All right, so here we are. I've got a few here, and just remind me of that question towards the end because we do need to ask on that one. Okay, look, let's do a collective one on this. Actually, do you know what? This is an interesting question. Maybe a little bit dark, but let's just see. So this is coming from Gelding. Thank you so much, Gelding, for your question. She says, hello all. I hope the new year is off to a great start for you. Wondering if the cards show if there could potentially be a new pandemic, maybe, in the near future. And if so, will Trump's new admin make a mess of managing it again? So just asking the energy of that. Is there something potentially there that we as humanity may need to look at in the future? I certainly hope not.
Oh. Yeah, we're still recovering from the social distortion of the last one.
Yeah. Just to drop in as a little side note, in Vedic astrology, as you guys know, I'm a Vedic astrologer, but the nodes of the moon actually have a lot to do with pandemics, particularly when they're in the signs of sidereal Gemini and sidereal Taurus. They're always opposite each other. And that was when we actually had the pandemic of 2020. And it takes 18 and a half years for them to come back. So I'm going to say it will be a while, but you never know. I feel like there's a lot of mind virus going around. I would say that much.
Look, I can jump in here if you like.
Go for it.
Look, I think there will be a burden of some sort, a health burden, but it's mitigated by this temperance card here. So I think we will see some deaths and casualty. This could be bird flu or something quite different, but not to the same extent as before. This is people hopefully making themselves safer without having to have government rules come in that then become dramatic and all of that. You know, if you've already got a compromised health system and you're exposed to something, be cautious, just like you would with the winter flu. Crossroads, and I'm back to this, climate change, one of the aspects is it is going to release more health issues. So look after yourself is the moral of the story.
Absolutely, absolutely. Lady G, what do you have?
Well, going into it, we have the burden of all this with things up in the air and trying to move rapidly. The energy coming into it is push and pull with those that are wanting to guard on it. So people coming together on that. With what's going on now, the hidden thing is about taking control, starting to take control and guarding, pushing through for the long term. With our challenge is the people coming together with a new action when it comes to what's coming out from the White House. And I would say, RFK, all of that nonsense. So the outcome is the lid is off, looking at what's going on, what's coming out into our world situation. And again, information being held on to, that they're going to bring out more about it.
Fascinating. All right, Sheila, what do you have? What are your cards saying?
Well, mine took a definite twist. I got the butterfly. Now, we're talking about if there's going to be a pandemic or something along that lines. I got the butterfly, and I thought, what do you mean by that? And then I got the patience, and then I got transition. And it just dawned on me as I'm looking at my cards and trying to ask intuitively what they're talking about. It's almost like whatever happens, the sickness happens, some people will transition, butterfly out, go and do what they're supposed to do, go home. Those who cannot transition with us, let's say MAGA, kind of an idea around it, they cannot go to the higher realm with us, they sick and stay sick. That's kind of how my cards kind of popped out, because it said connected and then the domain.
Interesting, yeah.
Long term,
I'm not going to. So when they say pandemic, I think the ones that cannot rise to the higher vibration, they're just literally going to be sick. Bodies, everything. So yeah, mine took a twist.
Oh, very interesting twist.
You're absolutely right.
That's what I love with the different styles, the different ways and the different energies that we all pick up individually as readers, don't we? And so, okay, so what have I got here? So in regards to like pandemic, etc. So here we got the Four of Wands, which can often translate as the White House, as many of you know. Many of us read in Politico Tarot. Whenever we see this, usually it's the White House. So this could be happening under obviously some form of administration. If we see here in the obstacle position, we've got the Three of Swords, which of course can talk about betrayal, upset. So what this says to me is that if there is a new pandemic, if there is a pandemic under the new administration, then it's probably not going to be handled that well. That would be my instinct on that. However, if we see here, though, we do see some element here of collaboration, working on a joint plan and venture together. So it could be that maybe the delay might be, the response might be delayed again, and it could be maybe the coming together or the teamwork happens maybe longer after the fact. That's how I'm sort of interpreting that. However, we do have the moon, yeah? And as we know, nothing is clear by moonlight. So look, we can never be 100% sure what is lurking, what will potentially come out of the water. This can also be the surprise. I think for me, it's more around that bird flu energy, because that's already present. So maybe it might be a case that bird flu might become a bit more serious for certain animals. Hopefully it doesn't go to people, but it could be something a little bit left field. However, the outcome card is the Queen of Swords, which is the sharp and astute, not only lawmaker, but taking astute action. So I would like to think this time the world, because of what's happened recently, is a bit more prepared. And I don't think it would go quite as extreme as before, kind of like how Lena's cards were showing and your ladies' cards. So that's my take on that. Anything to add to that, ladies?
Just before we move on, let me share this with you. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is an akubra. This is the Australian trademark hat. This one's 20 years old. I've worn it every day for 20 years, you know. They're indestructible. Horses can roll on them. Anything can happen to the akubra, and they're brilliant.
Wow.
So I just thought I'd share that with the American audience.
Sheila, do you have a hat underneath your chair or anything like that?
Well, I have a tiara.
When in doubt, put on your tiara.
Exactly. Princess it is.
Very fetching, and it really does suit you extremely well. I didn't want you to feel left out on the whole.
Yeah.
Why not go for the royalty card?
Absolutely. We've got some little so I want to just say a quick thank you to Lisa, Robinette. Thank you so much for your donation. And we've just had a little bit of clarification as well from some of the people writing in regards vis-a-vis Trump's doodah. So Paige is saying there is a women's march on January 18th. I think he's trying to counter that march. Yikes, what could happen? And then Paige is also saying women's march DC 18th of Jan. Of course, he can't stand that. And then Mona is asking if we could do a bard on Mike Johnson or Merrick Garland. Ooh. Whoa. So we could look at that.
Well, as you well know, Hogarth, all of our planets, all 6 of our planets are going to be aligned in one night, we can see. And then I think Pluto joins a couple of days later. So all 7 of our planets are going to be like in the night sky that everybody can see all at once, so like an alignment. They call it, what they call it, the parade of planets.
I know what you mean. Yes, we do have basically on the 29th of March, which as everyone watching knows, I refer to as the Great Awakening. We will have effectively 7 planets in one sign, which will be sidereal Pisces, but 6 will be visible. Yeah, so it's also going to be an eclipse as well at the same. It's extraordinary. I mean, it really could be quite interesting. Shall we do the bard on, what do you want to do? Bard on Mike Johnson or Merrick Garland? Is that a little controversial?
Well, I think it's too late for Merrick Garland. Let's
Yeah.
Mike Johnson. Sheila should do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will be Sheila's turn. So let's do Shakespeare
Okay.
on Mike Johnson. Yeah, Mike Johnson. So Sheila, just to remind you, you're going to tell me when to stop. I'm going to flick through the book, and then this is going to be the Bard's take on Mike Johnson. Yeah, so you instinctively just tell me where to stop, and we'll see what the Bard has to say.
Now.
Oh, this is very interesting. I think, have we had this one? I don't think we've had this one. Listen to this. This is what the Bard has to say about Mike Johnson. And this is from Love's Labours Lost. His humour is lofty, his discourse peremptory, his tongue filed, his eye ambitious, his gait majestical, and his general behaviour vain, ridiculous and thrasonical. He is too picked, too spruce, too affected, too odd, as it were, too peregrinate, as I may call it.
Oh, that's elaborate.
That sounds
Raymond,
like
I think,
porcelain
sums
doll.
that up by saying MAGA Mike is weird.
Pretty much. Isn't that interesting?
Sounds like a breakable porcelain doll.
Yeah, very, very. I think that's quite appropriate because he is kind of slippery, kind of slimy, sort of very, very sketchy, very, very sketchy character. I just want to say a quick thank you as well to Christopher. Thank you so much. And thank you so much as well to Tara. Much, much appreciated. So, ladies, are we ready for the next question?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into question number 2. Here we are. I think worth it was asked before, but worth asking again. Quite a straightforward question. This is coming from NS and says, "Hi, Happy New Year from Canada. Will Canada lean to the far right? I really hope not. I'm worried about our neighbors." And she says, "I hope KH will be president," which of course would translate as Kamala Harris, and says, "Thank you." So is Canada going to go to the right? They are having elections this year. And it's been a bit dicey for old Trudeau, from what I can understand, when I last read on the question.
And we have elections this year in Australia too, and I'm really twitchy.
Already, Lena?
Yeah.
It's not been 4 years already, is it?
Our poor doctor from down.
Will be by later.
All of a sudden, she's good doing her videos, and she's like,
I know.
like, oh, it's just elections. It's all right.
Well, I thought, wasn't he called? Wasn't he? He's not called Asbo. What is he called? Your prime minister?
His surname is Albanese, and in the Australian tradition, he's called Albo. Whether you love him or hate him, it's not a put down or anything. It's just Australian, Albo. We either extend names or cut them short. We never just use people's names. Yeah.
But I thought Albo only got in a couple of years ago.
I know it seems like that. It's amazing. There's times everywhere.
Goodness. Who's ready to read on Canada? Moving to the right. Will it move to the right?
I can go.
Go for it, Lady G.
So going into it, we have a maze when it comes to the craftiness that they're trying to bring in, the new things. The energy is what these men are bringing in when it comes to control and the bridges they're trying to make with that. It's about the writings and information they're putting out. They see it as a gamble to anchor this in. But the challenge is about the storylines, the messages, and the divergent path that they're up to, with an outcome of, the people, community coming together and looking for either higher truth or looking at the narcissism behind.
Wow, very interesting. Who's ready to go next? Lena?
Sheila can.
Yeah, Sheila, go for it.
Mine was really, really quick. I got partnership with the moon goddess, and I thought, well, that's a little weird. However, it just talks about need to go with the ebb and flow. It's almost like they know what they're dealing with. They watched us. They've learned their lesson. We are the tyrants that live below them in the apartment building, and they're expanding something. There's an expansion going on in Canada to bring across the treasure. Like there's something that they're being extremely aware of, putting into law, putting in some boundaries. They watched us. They now know what they need to do, because at the end of the day, it is a quiet. The MAGA crazies have a quiet retreat, and the other one is delayed. They're delayed. Quietly retreat because of what Canada has learned from us. So they got an awakening coming. They're understanding what's going on.
Wow.
So good for you, Canada, because learn from your scary neighbors down below.
But it's everywhere now. This lurch to the right. This is, I think, general sane Canadians holding the flame. Right? For what you do. This is the card of justice in this deck. And it's interesting. It's two umbrellas upside down, two parts of the same thing in balance. So there will be legal stuff around this.
Yeah. So the doggy is just so cute.
I'm sorry.
They're getting mileage because... if you look at this, it's very industrial. This is the right working really hard at whipping people up, convincing them if they have another term of Liberals, they'll be, sold down the river, like really pushing that line. But I like this star card. Hoagie and I have different interpretations of the star card, but for me, it's generally a good outcome. I'm hoping that represents, the best of Canada.
Indeed. Just want to say thank you to Annie. Thank you so much, Annie. What did I get? Well, surprise. Someone has to get the bloody dramatic cards, eh?
Okay.
All right. But I have to say what I see. So as we know, when we're reading on these things, and particularly when we see cards return, look who's back. The moon is back already.
Wolf.
And whenever you're reading on political shenanigans, etc., and stuff like that, you never really want to see the moon card. And actually,
it's the shady deals.
It's the shady deals. And the reason why the moon card is tricky, even though we all love the Luna, we do love the moon, is that it's the battle here between, or the balancing act between the wolf and the domesticated dog. Yeah, and we've just had a lovely little doggy make an appearance. So this, for me, in a way, this is like the battle going on within the Canadian electorate and in the politics as a whole, between the more calm, more domesticated vibes, of course, of, conventional politics, and then the wilder, more howling at the moon type politics as well that we're seeing all over the world. So I think this is, it's tricky. It's a bit ominous. Then what we have in the obstacle position, and look, we've got the Lovers, but now I can actually show it full frontal because they've got bikinis now, because as you know, I've taken the nipplage out. So I think quite tasteful, actually. Anyway, but if we look here, we've got the Lovers card here, which is all about choices. Yeah, choices, partnership, relationships. Can also deal with, I also associate this card with economics, imports and exports. So this could also talk about tariffs and stuff like that. But when you've got the Lovers next to the moon, this might mean there could be maybe some unholy alliances, maybe something a little, with the horse trading, it does make me worry. if we see here, we have got the 6 of Swords, which means, of course, someone will be exiting stage left. Yeah, this is the card of what? Moving on to smoother waters. We'll have to see who it be. My instinct, it might be a bit tricky for Trudeau because this is a card of leaving somewhere and moving on. We'll have to see. However, we do get the King of Cups show up, which can often talk about democracy and, you know, the benign male influence. So let's hope it's a bit more benign. However, my outcome card, I get the Tower. So to me, that says there might be a shock or a surprise in there, folks. You know, when you look top and tail, Moon and Tower. What are your thoughts on that, ladies?
And Canadians, if you could let us know, I understand it as a 3-way system.
Yeah.
It depends, I guess, where the middle votes end up.
Yeah, I think it's a real toss-up because you can see the symbolism in that Moon card between the dog and the wolf. So what that says to me, there is a tug of war going on within Canada in terms of which side to go to. So I think it's quite close. But that's my little spin. That's my take on it. I hope it comes out more benign than that. Are we ready for the next question?
Yeah.
All right. Now this is a very different question, and I think it's well worth an ask. We don't normally get questions like this, so it is coming from Hippie hiker. Sorry. And they've asked, what does the birth rate look like for generation Beta? Beta generation apparently started on the 1st of January 2025. And I just thought, how interesting. I've got some ideas.
Yeah.
But what will the future birth rate be like for the youngest generation coming up?
Oh my God, a brand new one, Beta.
No. We talk a lot about Gen Z, don't we, and stuff like that, but let's see. Birth rate for the newest generation.
I just got a picture of newest generation babies coming in like robots.
Wow, did you?
Yeah, I just saw them all come in with like mechanical brains, mechanical hands.
Ooh, that's scary.
Ooh.
I don't know what that meant. But that's exactly my picture.
Wow.
Well, I can jump in here.
Go for it.
I don't think they'll be big breeders. So here we go. They'll feel just like these last two, like sub-generations, can't afford to have children. They then go and blame that on other things. But they're going to have a brand new way of inventing the family. Wow. So this could go either way, right? I see this as not altogether bad. This can be a good thing, but it's the death of the old way of seeing families and being families. We've got to move on from this nuclear family 50s housewife fantasy that Mike Johnson and others are trying to recreate. You know, it's not working for young people.
Wow. Who would like to go next? Lady G, would you like to go next?
Sure. So going into it, it's about health and trying to figure out the next move forward, how they're going to move forward. It's light on what we're building, what we're putting together. Part of it is about the monetary system, cuts to what's being given out. And the challenge is marriage. Again, marriage and children, the history of all of that. I think you're right. We're moving forward. The key is judgment. So we're making different choices going forward.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily doom and gloom because of that.
No. I think it's just going to open up more and become less restricted when it comes to marriage quote unquote marriage situations and that.
Wow, fascinating. Sheila, what do you have? I'm intrigued.
I am intrigued as well. My cards, I keep on shaking my head. This is crazy. I have unconditional love. Like the kids that are coming in, they're unconditional love. They have lots of genuine feelings. They're not going to play around. They're going to have like the attitude of probably the little honey badgers that are existing right now that are 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 years old right now. But they're going to have a love base to them. But there's a deadline. It's almost like saying you can only have so many.
Going down the Chinese.
There's a deadline of them. Like you know, years before you could have 100,000 babies that year. You guys are only going to get 30,000. That kind of like it. That's kind of how it feels like.
And then you're going to need immigration.
Yes, exactly. Well, they're going to have to. Because somehow, some way, there's some reproductive that they're going to have to cleanse. The reproductive aspect of all of the people who are producing these children, there's something wrong, and there's a high emotions coming in about it. Nobody's getting pregnant like they normally used to. And one more thing, there's a breakthrough about the human being that's happening with them. I don't know exactly. It just says gentle release, and I don't know. I have to get into that. I don't have time to dig into that. There's a breakthrough, some sort of big, huge breakthrough with these children that are coming in. They're not.
They're not what? I missed that last little bit. They're not.
They're not normal. They're not normal. They're not the normal human beings we've been producing for a while. I don't know how else to explain it. They're not normal. They're igniting some ambition. And that's like a car on fire. That's just, there's something different. I think that's the reason why my vision said they're coming in mechanical, is because their whole bodies, everything's coming in different.
Wow. Fascinating. You see, and this is why it's always good, isn't it, folks, to take some of these different questions that come in a little bit left field, because the variety of the cards has been astonishing. I just need to quickly say a quick thank you. So thank you so much to Joe. And then thank you so much, Joe. And then some responses to the question. So Lilith says generations usually last about 30 years. Mercury Angel says can't afford nor are capable in terms of maybe the next generation. And then a bit of humor here. Chantal said all the babies with parents who support Trump will be robot babies. That's what they're saying here. Well, if Elon has his way, you never know. So
and they're already talking about cutting funding to Planned Parenthood. And so it's a nightmare.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I also want to say one more thing before you kind of move on. When they cut funding for Planned Parenthood, what they do also is they cut medical care for pregnant mothers. So if a pregnant mother cannot afford medical whatever from the get-go, that baby is not going to get, her and that child is not going to get the care that they need until that baby is born. So we have no idea what's going to happen or what's wrong with that child or the mother by the time they end up in an emergency room needing to deliver.
And already maternal mortality has gone up through the roof.
Really?
Because just through these policies that have been in the last year or so. So it has an immediate impact.
Exactly. So I think that has a lot to do with what's swirling around too, is the care that they have been getting. So they're all fighting for life to get here, and they're not going to be as many of them. Anyways, I could just, that really got a download on me.
Wow. Another quick thank you, and I'll read my cards. Thank you so much for your donation as I don't know, Hippie Hiker. So with my cards here, this is quite an interesting mix here. So this is here, this is how I'm interpreting this, and I just want to say as well, thank you to everyone joining us right now. We've got over 2,000 of you joining us live, so thank you so much appreciated. And of course the donations will be shared with the ladies as well. So if we look here, we have got the King of Pentacles. Now this is quite funny, isn't it? Because you're thinking, talking about pregnancy and all of this stuff, why is the King of Pentacles showing up? Do you know what I think this is? I think this is oligarchy. I think this is oligarchy, and I think this is also doing saying a lot to do with finance and money. So in terms of the ones having the kids prolifically, is probably like your Elons, yeah, who just seems to impregnate everything he passes.
Oh, well, he probably buys them through the surrogacy world.
Well, indeed. So what this says to me is, for those that have the money, have the capital, yes, they will be having the families. However, when we look here, look, Three of Swords, heartache, anguish, a sense of betrayal. So of course, if you're not wealthy enough, that might be an issue. But this can just talk about the feelings of how people feel about families in general, particularly when you see the middle card, which is the walking away. So what this says to me is, I think there might be many in the younger generation that don't have families at all, or it's much reduced. I think they were walking away from, again, the nuclear family, that kind of style. But there's this element here of walking away from what we would consider traditional kind of, you know, parenthood, etc. If we look here, though, we see there is an amount of what here. We've got the Queen of Cups. And of course, the Queen of Cups always has her little secrets here in here. I think as well, what this says to me, because this card is associated with emotions, I think in many ways this younger generation is going to be very emotionally different as well. Sheila's picking up physically different, but I think they just have a different take on the world, on families in general, and it's going to be something that will emerge. It could be a surprise. However, the outcome card is strength. So there is an element of strength of character, fortitude, etc. So it could be less children, but those children that are born are more kind of, well, I want to say hefty, but that's not the right word. They have more oomph in some kind of way. Yeah, there's something, the character is something to do with the emotional depth, and the character of them will be stronger. So I'm going to say less children overall, but the wealthy ones can still have plenty. Yeah. Interesting. Thanks so much for the question. Interesting questions tonight, isn't it, ladies? Anything to add to that before we move on?
Yeah. You know, those rich white women are not going to have more than one child.
So as we were talking, I'm old and light is shed on something new, rapid changes. But I think what I'm feeling with it, you know, by the time they get ready to have children, they will have all the genetics worked out and all of that, and pre-plan what they're bringing in genetically. So that,
but I'm also seeing, because I'm so jaundiced, I can see poor women making money by being surrogates for wealthy women.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
well, yeah.
Rent a womb. Yeah, rent a womb. Wow. Fascinating. Thanks so much for these questions, guys. And isn't it intriguing, the variety in the cards that we're having tonight? Now, this next question here, I think this one is going to be quite close to your heart, Lady G. And you'll see when I read out the question. So this has come from Three Shifting Veils, and they say love and light, and they say, will the military be forced into creating a boot camp style of trauma training to help soldiers after they have served? Will they keep an eye on those that they release with mental health issues in order to prevent more atrocities? This person says. So
what was the first of that again? I didn't hear that.
Okay, I'll say again. So will the military be forced into creating a boot camp style of trauma training to help soldiers after they have served. Which, of course, you, Lady G, as a veteran, you be fascinated to hear your answers on that, because you literally have been there. So, yes. So will there be basically trauma training so that we don't have atrocities, etc., and stuff like
Sorry,
that?
I think the question's a bit gnarly, because surely the question should be, will there be support for veterans, as opposed to calling it boot camp or anything else? I think that's too complicated. I think we should look at just that.
Sure. No, I agree.
For the United States? Is this just for the United States?
I would guess they're asking about the United States, because I think in light of the recent things with, the exploding cars and stuff like that, and also as well what happened in New Orleans, I can only assume that they're probably talking about the States. So, yeah, will they get more support, basically? Will soldiers get more support with their mental health, etc., particularly after they've served? Let's see. It's a better way to phrase it, isn't it? Let's see.
Well,
Okay.
I can go if you like.
Go for it, Lena.
Well, I think the short answer is no.
Mm.
In the sense of not under the Yeti. Here he is as the emperor, not providing, and this is the new stupid non-government department Doge. They're actually targeting vet support actively.
Are they?
Yeah. And first responders. They're cutting them off, those who are first responders for 9/11 and stuff. So I think there's the tower. I think veterans are going to get progressively furious and upset over this issue, and I think we're going to see more advocacy going forward here with this raised sword of the Knight of Swords. Much more public advocacy for veterans' trauma support.
Yes. Who would like to go next? Lady G, are you ready to go next? Yeah.
Go next. It's about the health, the strength of the health. But unfortunately, the energy coming into it is about what they're going to be putting out, the writings and things about the history of it. There are friends, of course, to Trumpenstein that want to end things, not make it better.
Wow.
So for the community, it's about where this action is taking place in the community. And unfortunately, they're cutting the messages coming out to make it better, because there is that divergent path of abuse. Okay. So they're not going to make it better anytime soon. No.
Oh, that's a real shame, isn't it? Real shame. Sheila, what do you have?
Mine's going to be really quick. They're going valley to the shadow of death. They are not useful to any of the billionaires anymore. Therefore, the faster they leave the earth, the less money they have to spend on them.
Wow.
I do not see, and here's the thing is, there's always going to be a group, say the Democrats, that are trying to connect the emotions and the want to take care of them because they fought for us. There's always going to be a voice for them, but unless and until they go, their time is up for them. They have their sand. There's no reason to keep them around. In fact, to add more funding to any of their health care would probably puts them into orbit of a vibration of no, because they would have to spend a lot on them. They already spend a lot of money while they're in service. They're not interested in doing it while they're out of service, when they're not useful to them. So I hate to be as blunt as that, but I don't know. But
Mm.
for them, there's always a voice in us for them.
Okay, I'll read my cards. I just want to say another quick thank you. Thank you so much to Maria. Much appreciated. All right, here. My cards, actually, believe it or not, are probably a little bit more optimistic, I would say. I think I'm going to have a little bit more of an optimistic twist on this one, because they're telling a bit of a story here. Yes, we do have, particularly if we take this as the interpretation of the new administration, there we are. This can also be someone like a Duck Larange kind of character, or even an Elon, really, because this card is an entrepreneurial card, the King of Wands. I always associate wands with entrepreneurship, business, etc., stuff like that. So that's sort of like maybe talking about the energy that's possibly coming in. But then look, we do have the Death card. And I've got a friend of mine who deals a lot with veterans, who's actually just won a very important landmark case for their support, etc. But one of the things my friend told me is that they do try and play out the clock. They try and run the clock on these veterans. And you got the Sands of Time, didn't you, Sheila? I'm getting the Death card here. Sometimes it can be that literal death, but this is also talking about transformation as well. So I think, yes, new leadership may try and run the clock on these guys until they're basically sort of like gone. However, it is going to cause a conflict. I don't think it's going to be without resistance. And as we know, there are certain people. We're not going to say that, MAGA's become enlightened. It certainly hasn't. But let's just say a few of them are starting to twig that just maybe they've been conned. Yeah. So I think either way, in terms of when it comes to veterans, there is still a lot of support for veterans in America as a whole, and they're not going to go down quietly, and there will be advocacy for them. But then if we look at the next two cards, look, I get the Victory card. So is it after a battle, after a fight, that maybe there is a victory? And then if we look here, the Outcome card is the 10 of Cups, which of course is the happy family, etc., and stuff like that. Now, we do normally associate this card with the GOP, but because it's two positives back together, so what I'm going to say is that the energy coming in wants done with these people, but there might be a popular uprising against it, which could potentially lead to a victory and maybe more better outcomes for veterans. I hope so. That's how I'm interpreting my cards. So quite positive for once, eh? With my set.
I like your cards better than mine.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Let's see. We'll have to see how things unfold. Are we ready for the next question? Yeah. All right. Here we go. So this is I'm going to jump. So we're into question 5 now. Yes, and here we are. This is a Jan 6th question, Quite appropriate, isn't it? Because today, of course, is the 5th of January 2025 in the UK. And of course, for Lena, it's already the 5th for you, isn't it, Lena?
Yeah,
right.
I'm in the 5th.
So here we are. So Barbara Almeida, forgive me, I butchered your name a bit. Hi, Hogarth and ladies. Monday is January the 6th, and Congress will be certifying the USA election. Do you see it being handled smoothly, or will there be some Democrats that bring up the subject of a stolen election? And as more and more is coming out on a daily basis, like the Homeland Security just found out this week, that Iran and Russia played a hand. So if we could shorten it down, will it go smoothly and will more things emerge? Could there be a surprise? Juicy question, eh?
Yes. January 6th.
January 6th. So is Mike Johnson, is he the speaker? Have they decided that?
Yes, he's the speaker.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Ready
yeah,
to lead us all into an Amish world.
Wow.
Yeah, I watched the whole thing. He, the first, they did the whole thing 3 held out, but their sneaky little turds didn't call for it to be closed. So he talked. He took 3 behind closed doors so nobody can read their lips and come out. One, Massey says absolutely not, but the other 2 changed their mind. So he said, so then the news is he got the votes on the first try. I'm like, no, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
But
No one believes that.
it was on, legally or whatever, on the first try, but they held out, they waited, had to go back and, promise them or do whatever they do in the boys' room. All the white boys and all the deciding.
Indeed. Who's ready to read first?
I can. Yeah.
Go for it, Lena.
All right. So in my main deck, straight up the Hierophant. This is all about governments and exactly what we're talking about here. I think there will be a bit of pushback by Dems who are wounded. There's in the form of a speech or something. I don't think it'll get physical per se, but I think there will be a bit of pushback. But the Italian cards I got going forward were enemies, illness, and a not very good consolation prize. So what I think that's about is Trump now has more enemies than he's ever had before. Like before, you could say collectively we were enemies or something or whatever, but now he's got more in all sorts of different places. His health is at risk, and he might have to settle for the consolation prize, which is a co-presidency, because J.D. Vance is AWOL and the Muskrat's there.
Wow, fascinating. Lady G, what do you have?
Well, it's about the darker conversations, things that are done in the dark, the hidden things. And so what's been hidden, it's a message about actions, perhaps coming up later. So we have the Knight of Wands wanting to charge forward with some arguments that are going to take place. There will be an eating away at the Republican agenda, what's happening with it. For the long term, the clock is ticking, okay? And the last thing, the direction is they are out in the cold, okay? So it's not looking good for the for what's coming in.
Interesting. And Sheila, I'd like to know your answer. Then I'll be quick with mine so we can squeeze in your question at the end.
So the ritual is going to happen tomorrow, right? The sacrificing of the country is going to happen. However, there are lies and deceits behind this is like the 5 of Swords, representing of the 5 of Swords. There's a lot of backstabbing, lies and deceit that's going to emerge for some reason. Something's drowning. Something is not going to go right. Something is going to, like, this girl's underwater trying to reach for help. To that, because the last 2 I have is there's going to be a lot of fire, because not only are they going to do January 6th, they're going to certify the thing. They're also, on the other hand about that, they're going to be running for, the news is going to be running all about the January 6th, because it's it's a anniversary of it, right?
Yes.
So this is also happening. It's like they're burning them. They're fighting off the rumors. It's almost like the Democrats are going to use this platform to just blast them about what happened in January.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, we don't know what you're going to certify the demon. We're going to tell you what happened, what the demon did on one of these January 6th. I think that's what this card kind of represents, that they're drowning and they're reaching for help, but it's going to be overshadowed by the information. I just see that. Wow. It's going to be a little weird strange day tomorrow, but I think the Democrats are not going to hold back. They're not going to hold back, and the Republicans are going to have to fight the fire.
Fascinating. Okay, so I'll read my cards. I think this might be a bit of a wake-up call for the MAGA crowd. Why am I saying this? And I'll just read you the story. Yeah, I'll read you the story. In terms of the energy of the administration coming in, is it going to make people richer? No. Yeah. Prices are not going to go down, certainly not with these kind of policies. And there's been a lot of backpedaling. Have you noticed? There's been a lot of backpedaling on all of these policies, and Trump's like, oh, that's not what I meant. And oh, actually, I'm actually quite pro-immigration, etc., etc. And like the MAGA lot are feeling what, quite neglected, quite out in the cold. But also as well, this will, on a more serious note, this could affect the wealth and prosperity of a lot of people, unfortunately. Yeah, this, assuming it happens, but so it's not the best card. However, if that happens, it's a massive wake up call. We've got the Judgment card. A lot of people are going to be woken up because a lot of people are realizing already, especially some of the MAGA lot who are very dangerous. A lot of them are starting to openly ask the questions. Have you seen? I've been watching sort of like the more liberal independent media reporting on the MAGA wars, and a lot of them are starting to realize they've been shafted. Yeah. Here, wake up call. Yeah, the bugle call. What are they getting that wake up call about? The established power. Yeah, here we are, 10 of Pentacles. We know we associate this with the Republican Party, and people are going to realize that it's about them, their vanity, and their wealth. We can see it here. We've seen it with Elon. We've seen it with all of these, the billionaires. Basically, this is the billionaire class, and there might be some action. We might have some uprising. We might even have a bit of revolt. So I don't think this administration is going to have it smoothly. And I think those that are feeling impoverished and out in the cold could end up really making their thoughts known. So, because they realize it's about the billionaires. Yeah. I think, they're going to realize increasingly.
And it's like they wouldn't hear that from Dems, but now Steve Bannon and Laura Loomer and people are talking about the oligarchy. I think, if you live long enough, you hear it all. I can't believe it's amazing that they are leading the charge.
They are.
So they're hearing it in a different way.
Yeah. Sorry, go on, Sheila.
Oh, sorry.
Interrupt you. No, I was just gonna. One real quick thing is, not only has Trump accumulated Putin's enemies, he has also accumulated Elon Musk's enemies. Elon Musk has tons of enemies.
A lot now.
Yep, and he puts his child over his head so that he doesn't get murked in the streets. He's afraid of that. That's the only reason why he's carrying his child so oddly and weirdly over his shoulder. Nobody does that.
Yeah. And so I think this could lead to quite the uprising, because of, it's going to be those that are out in the cold versus the billionaires who are living luxury. It's going to be very, very interesting. Shall we get your question in the dying minutes of the show? So Sheila, your question again, it's about Trump's rally to try and counteract the women's rights rally. Is that correct? But could you phrase it for me?
No, I don't know if that's what it is. I kind of wanted to read and see what it is, because he is literally calling all of his little sycophants to the Capitol on the 19th. Now, something in my head kind of thought, well, maybe he's worried about his numbers. And if he doesn't call everybody there to show up to the inauguration, it's going to be like a desert storm, like nothing there, wind blowing. You know what I mean? I want to know why he's doing that, or he has a nefarious reason for it. Is he planning another attack? I just want to see.
Well, he would be attacking himself on that instance, wouldn't he? Let's see what the
not necessarily, because if he has the sycophants there, this is just a thought that goes through my head. Please, entertainment purposes only. Really. But if he has a nefarious ideas of doing that, his people can take. I don't want to say it out loud. I don't want to get your.
Okay. I thought it was a microphone issue. I was going to...
No, it's me going, don't say it, Sheila.
Yeah.
All right, let's because we we only have a few minutes left. Let's see what we get. So what is the question is, what is Trump up to with this rally or gathering? What's the energy behind that? Wow. Okay. Who's ready to read?
I can. Here he is. You know, juggling the balls on the tight wire in the sense of give them a circus. It's a fig leaf to cover the war within MAGA. I think he wants a rallying thing to bring his people together, because they've actually been drifting in the last 4 weeks even into different pathways. So he wants to bring them all together to show him loyalty in the holding out the flame. But at the end of the day, I love this card. It's a tightrope act. And if you can see on the camera, there's a little dog. It's not easy to see on this camera. That's about to topple the guy rope, you know. So it's all this circus stuff. And he wants to feel good. The narcissist needs feeding.
Fascinating. Lady G, how do you interpret your cards?
Well, he wants to put an end to some of the light that's coming out. So his direction is to pull the Magatonians in closer. So some of his craftiness is to end, and I wanted to get a clarification, to end this divergent path which is going on now, you know, because of the split with Magatonians and the tech things and all of that. So the challenge is this difficulty that he's facing, and he's trying to find a way out of it. I'm praying for something better. He doesn't pray, but he's, you know, looking to get some diversion, short-term success. But again, the nightmare scenario continues. So it's a diversion, trying to divert attention.
Fascinating. Sheila, what do you have?
Well, it's an idea. They brought about an idea. They have an idea of something. But the idea is, can you see that card? That is actually representative of the Five of Pentacles, where it has the spiders and they're going up into the thing. So that he's bringing across all of his spiders. He is calling his base again. He's calling to his base to come and do something. He sees them. He's in the dungeon. And there's a lot of worry around it. Like the cops have a lot of worry around it. And I hate to tell it, this is like, there's something nefarious. My cards have brought something, like he is bringing them in again. The love for him to do whatever he wants them to do. It's like an army. I don't know what else to say. Like really weird. And at the end, they get a prize.
Wow. Fascinating. Right. Okay. So I'll do my reading. I just want to say a quick thank you. Our last thank you of the night, Maria. Thank you so much. We have 2,387 of you joining us live right now. That's a HoGaLe's record. That's a HoGaLe's record. So big love. Thank you so much for that. And I just want to indulge me a second, just so that people know, I'm currently offering 15% off all my consultations at the moment. Go to my website. It's my new year. Thank you to everyone. And of course, you know, new channel, all those different bits.
And your new channel, exactly.
Yeah, so financial astrology. Yeah, to educate people, because finance in the future, guys, is changing so much, particularly with all these billionaires. Anyway, right. What is Trump up to? This is quite interesting. Straight away, we get the first major arcana here. So we get the Wheel of Fortune. He is trying to change his fortunes, quite literally. He's trying to change the political weather, and I think he is wanting to look better, quite literally, not only in the eyes of women, but he's trying to counter these women, because here we have the Queen of Wands that's turned up in the obstacle position. Now we know the Queen of Wands is a very positive card in general. It talks about the woman who can host the salon, who can bring others together, discuss ideas. She's passionate and she's intuitive. So this, of course, could be talking about the Women's March coming up on the 18th, which is talking of positive ideas and just being like, we don't want this duck l'orange kind of scenario, because for him, yeah, he's trying to change his fortunes, but they're coming in the obstacle position. Yeah. He is obviously wanting to gild. Yeah. He obviously feels insecure about his victory. Yeah. Shall we say? He obviously feels insecure. So I think he's doing this to try and change the weather, to boost his own sense of feeling of victory with what? His base. Yeah. Because often referred to the Queen of Pentacles as the base, the voter. So he's doing this. He wants to project power and strength to his base in order to strengthen his seat, his feelings of authority and power. However, the outcome card is the Moon. Third time I've pulled it this night.
Yes. Don't trust what you see first time.
Don't trust what you see. There is an ulterior motive to all of this. And with this card, there's always the little lobster that comes out of the water. And of course, this is the tug of war between the tame dog and the wolf, which we could say has been somewhat unleashed in Magatonian world, hasn't it, of late? So he is doing it to try and tame, bolster his sense of victory, trying to make him look more legitimate, because he wants to counter the positive message of women. He's trying to strengthen his base, but I think he's also trying to tame the wolf that has been unleashed in Magatonia world. There you go.
And I just had a flash.
Sure.
He wants them there on the 19th, so they'll be there for the 20th, so his numbers will be bigger for the inauguration. So he's quite happy for them to sleep in the snow.
Yes.
And he won't offer them a cup of coffee, but that's all right.
He wants to look bigger.
He looked big. He's got the biggest inauguration ever.
Ever.
That showed up for it. I did that as well. He's the ego booster as well.
Yeah, the day is not an accident.
I would love to be there. A whole bunch of tumbleweeds just tumble.
Hogarth is
just release all the tumbleweeds.
Indeed, release all the tumbleweeds. But can we believe that the time has gone in a flash? So I just want to say a thank you to everyone who donated, and a lot of people just Indiana Jones has squeezed some in. So thank you so much, Harriet. And thank you so much, Joanne. All of that stuff. It's all about the size of the rally that he gets. And if, inauguration is not well attended, then he can say, but look at my rallies. Right. Absolutely. So I think we're all on the same page. We have got 2,423 of you here this evening. That is an absolute smashing record. So thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Should we do this again?
I would love to join your team.
Are you free next week?
I am.
Yeah. All right. In that case, I will upgrade the letters then, folks. Let's fling an extra letter in there, ladies. Fantastic reads tonight. Thank you. And
look, if you haven't got your Stetson anymore and you want a new hat, there's always a Kubras.
I've looked at them, but I have to have my hat specially made. I've got a small head.
Right. It is a beautiful hat. It's just they did get the proportions wrong.
Yeah, I've got to have them change that. They need to take it down by an inch.
No, they will. They will.
They should.
Indeed. So, folks, it has gone in a flash. So we will be back next week. Yes, this foursome will return. And fascinating questions, fascinating cards, fabulous shows, ladies. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone joining us. Please don't forget as well to like and subscribe to support this channel. And also the ladies' channels will be in the video description when I post that up afterwards. Let's see if I can actually end the show with the click of the button this time, because my button is a bit funny. So we will see you next week. It might take a few seconds. Give me a few seconds.